Good morning, good evening, good night, and good afternoon, wherever you may be. Stamp collecting is fun, but sometimes it comes into our possession something a little bit that tugs at the heartstrings. And you may gather from this the last post where we see First World War Tommies writing their last letter home before going over the top, before going up to the front, before putting life and limb on the line for freedom. And that gives you a little hint about what I might be talking about today. Okay, well, I have come into this possession of a couple of cards, actually a series of cards from this era and all the way through to the present day from Merthyr Tydfil, which is in South Wales. And this card here, RMS Megantic, it is a troop ship and it is carrying somebody called Morgan Henry Treston. So what have we got here? Well, first of all, the stamp has been removed, but it's been received to his father, Mr. Henry Treston, 14 Four Houses, Mountain Hare, Merthyr Tydfil, Glamorgan, near Aberfan, if anyone's heard of Aberfan. Anyway, it's been received, no charge, because it was sent either because it was from a war zone or because of more darker reasons. We don't quite know when this was received. The first line says still alive. Now my father, my old dad, used to tell me, or he told me, that whenever he was in the war zone and he was sending letters or a postcard home, he would put the first thing that they would put is still alive. So the first thing that their mother would see when they received a letter or a postcard was still alive. Because it was a stressful thing to receive a letter and you've got to open it and you don't know what's in it. I'm sending a postcard, a PC, of the ship I went out with. And here it is. The Megantic, which was a troop carrier. Good luck. Signaller Treston. 12372 South Wales Borderers, 4th Battalion. I can't work that out, unfortunately, but Expeditionary Forces. So this ship is going to Gallipoli, which is in Turkey, and it's famous really for Anzacs, who lost hundreds of thousands, well, thousands of men, tens of thousands, Anzacs, Australian, New Zealanders. But of course there were British soldiers and casualties coming from there. So it's sent to his father. Another letter or postcard is sent. Dear father, I'm going to the front, hoping you will hear from me soon. Looks like Morgan. It probably says no time when writing. And it's Henry Treston, which is the father, and really you can see the squiggly of the Henry there. You see the squiggly of the Henry there. So it's the same basic handwriting for both postcards. So I'd like to do a little bit of research if I ever come upon names, addresses, First World War, just to have a little look what maybe became. So what I do know from my research is that on the 27th of August, Morgan Treston went into action. But we go back a little bit. He arrived, the 4th Battalion arrived at Anzac Cove early in the morning of the 4th of August, 1915. And their very first day they were resting at White Gully after a long journey in a nullah that led up to the beach. A nullah is a sort of a decompression, really. It's an Indian word. It's a lot of the British Army words were from India because they'd been in India for 100 years. You know, Blighty and Shah and all that sort of stuff. that we use in our own vocabulary is Indian. And this sort of nullah, this gully almost, led up to the beach. On the night of the 6th, they marched up to a place called Damek Jelik Bair and attacked and captured a hill. It was very hilly, so there was a beach, nice and flat, but at the top of those, or further on you went, there was a hill, and the Turks were at the top, and they had to capture these hills, and Hill 40 was duly captured. They then dug in and remained there for 2 weeks, improving their lines. We now go to the fateful date of the 22nd of August, when an urgent request was made to reinforce the Gurkhas who were holding a place at Susak Koyu. And a company of South Wales borderers were sent forward. On the way up, they came under heavy fire. So they're walking up a hill or charging up a hill, trying to get to their allies, the Gurkhas, at the top of the hill, and they came under heavy fire. And then when they arrived at the position, they were told that they were no longer needed and were told to return back. That action, or that movement of that company, of that set of South Wales borderers, caused casualties. 1 officer was wounded, and other ranks, 3 were killed in action, 10 wounded, and 2 were missing. So I was interested to see what became of Morgan Henry Treston of Merthyr Tydfil, the man who sent these postcards. Dear father, a collier. His father was a collier. His father was originally from Gloucestershire and went down to Merthyr, to Mountain Hare. Mountain Hare area was named after the pub, the Mountain Hare, which subsequently may not exist anymore because another pub was set up called the Spite, which was put up to be in competition with the Mountain Hare. May have put the Mountain Hare out of business, but the Mountain Hare itself, the name was retained in the area of Merthyr Tydfil, a colliery place where people would dig for coal near Aberfan. So I decided to have a little look what I could find. Well, first of all, that postcard was sent when he was on board ship on the 10th of July. But I subsequently discovered that Morgan Henry Treston, according to the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, was a private in the South Wales Borderers. His number was 12372, which corresponds with the number there. He is commemorated on the Helles Memorial. In other words, he's lost his life in Gallipoli. He has no known grave. He is the son of Henry and Jeanette Treston, which corresponds with Henry there. His address is 14 Mountain Hare, Merthyr Tydfil, Glamorgan, and he died on the 22nd of August 1915, aged 29 years. Now he died, so he was not killed in action. So he was one of those who was wounded, either on the way up or on the way down, from trying to relieve and help the Gurkhas. Probably it would have been the second time he was in action, because the battalion was in action to take Hill number 40. It was initially reported, according to the press, according to the newspaper, that he was wounded. It was subsequently reported that he had died. He would have been buried. He will have a grave, but it's not known. In the fog of war, and when eventually the Allies exited the whole area, it was a disaster, Gallipoli. Hundreds of thousands of men died for no benefit whatsoever to the war effort, as far as we know. And his body would have been left there. He had a brother who was named William Joseph Treston, who subsequently married somebody called Rebecca Jones, and I can't see if they had any family. His father died that very year. So Henry Treston, his father, died that year. Whether of a broken heart or just of old age, or I can't find any record of that death apart from the year. And you know, I like to look at stamps and talk about stamps, but sometimes stamps tell a story, and stamps allow us to learn one or two things about life and about death as well. And some things are precious, and some things you can pick up for a song, and they are priceless. And I feel this is a priceless memorial to someone who, a postcard has gone out there and it's come into my possession. It's been all over the place. It's been swallowed up by other Merthyr Tydfil postcards who may or may not be relations, but were certainly from the same area, Mountain Hare. So whether there's been someone has gone in there and there's been a house clearance and all of these were swept up together, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But it's something very precious, and I will keep in my postcard collection. We'll leave it at that for now. What I've also done, just in case it comes into the possession of other people, I've made a couple of notes just so we know what these things are that we have. So make notes. If you've got something you think that's an interesting story, write down the notes on it just a little bit, so that as the years go by, maybe these will come into the hands of other people. They'll know what they've got, and they know that they're not just something to be put in a drawer or disposed of. It opened my eyes slightly to the importance of a postcard, a simple letter home, but also the tragedy of it all. Father and son dead within the same year. Someone giving their life for freedom. Someone who, may not have even fired off a shot. We don't know. Sent into a battle zone. Usually, he's down a mine or he's down a pit digging for coal, scrabbling around for coal. 29 years of age, unmarried. What would he have become? What have we lost when we lost Morgan Henry Treston? I don't know. Anyway, I thought I'd do that little thing. I hope you'll bear with me with that. And I'll put these now back into the folder. What have we got here? Yeah, another postcard there. So I hope you're having a fantastic day. It is night time here now. I've wanted to do this for a while, but I wanted to make some notes and just get my thoughts in order. Not sure I've done that good a job of it, but it tugs at the heartstrings sometimes. Have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic night. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.